the 3 stages of retention. I'm going to be breaking down in this video what the 3 stages are and also how to make the most out of them, including things to eat as well. Reason why I think that this is so important is because if you do the right thing at the wrong time, you still create pain, right? And getting to your first 90 days in retention is key, because if you've not done that right, you don't know what it's like to experience having a full battery, and you have to do everything in your power to get to that stage, right, where you are full of energy so that you can transmute it. But a lot of people online that are talking about the journey are telling people to do certain things at certain stages of the development, which actually leads them to relapsing, right? So I'm going to break it down so that you guys can make sure that you do reach your 90 days. But before I get into that, remember to drop a like and a comment into the video and subscribe for more content like this. All right, let's get into stage number 1. Stage number 1 is degeneration. In the degeneration stage, you're pretty much depleted, right? You've been releasing a lot, so your body is doing everything, right, to create your semen. And because the body is very intelligent, right, if you do not have a full tank, it's going to put everything, it's going to pull literally nutrients from your other organs to that, because that is going to ensure that it can survive as a lineage. Does that make sense, right? That's what it's for, right? So if you felt like you're going to die or the civilization is going to stop, to make sure that it doesn't, right, it literally does prioritize that. Now, during this stage, it's so important that you honor your energy. You are refueling, right? Don't try to do the most in your first 30 days, right? Now, obviously, I'm not saying to be sedentary, right? There's things to do and we're going to go through that, but it's important that you honor that. Because imagine if you had your phone, right, and you need to tap, you haven't got your cards on you and you need to get home and your phone reaches 5% battery. You're not going to be there blazing your music, are you? It doesn't make sense. The phone will die before you get home, right? So the likelihood is, if you're smart, you're going to put your phone on like airplane mode. You're going to make sure that you're not looking at any sites. Do you know what I mean? Bluetooth headphones are off. All of that, right, to conserve the battery. That's what you're doing in the degeneration phase. And that's your first 30 to 40 days, right? Because that's how long it takes for sperm to be in the epidermis, right? For it to mature, and then for it to be absorbed in the body. So every time you release, right, at 30 days, it's going to start again, because it's the likelihood is you're going to release what's in the epidermis, right? So that's your first 30 to 40 days. During this time, the things that you're going to be focusing on is making sure that the body is strong, right? So making sure that you're working out is important. Making sure that you're getting enough rest is important as well. Making sure you're doing daily energy work, right? That's important. Starting to focus on what's going on in the body and making sure that you're focusing on taking in very nutrient dense, clean foods, right? It's like refeeding at that point. You're charging the battery to at least, right, like 30%, 40%, right? Think of it that way. Like, so at the phone, at like 30 to 40%, you could do most things on the phone, but at the same time, you're still going to have to be careful with the usage, right? And that's important. What sort of food things should you be doing in the degeneration phase, right? Which realistically speaking is how you're meant to live life. But you want to make sure that you are getting a lot of zinc in your diet, right? You want to make sure that you're getting a lot of complete proteins, right? You want to make sure that you're getting cholesterol as well, because cholesterol is used to make the sperm, right? There is a lot of salt as well, because it's a saline, like semen is a saline or salty liquid. So you want to make sure that you're getting good quality salt. So you've got like Celtic sea salt, you've got Himalayan salt, you've got the salt I use is actually called Baja Gold salt. It comes from a Mexican sea, really clean, tastes great, good mineral content, right? You want to make sure that these things are in your diet. I also would suggest, right, things like liver and organ meats, right? These things are packed with different vitamins and minerals, including things like choline, B12, etc. If you're a vegetarian or a vegan, right, then just make sure that you are getting the sort of vegetables, right, that are going to be able to give you the protein that you need, the vitamins that you need. If you need to take some supplements as well, make sure that you're doing that, because this is important, right? Again, you're refueling the body in this stage, right? So yes, if you've got a business and other things like that, do you know what I mean? Continue doing your work. No one's saying to stop, right? But don't try to do the most at that stage. Focus on reaching your first 30 days. Do you know what I mean? Make that be the main focus. So you need to be reducing things like stress as well, doing like reverse Kegels. That one's really important, right? Because a lot of times there's so much tension in our prostate, the body, right, isn't able to actually reabsorb the semen and sperm without friction. And this is why people would have things like wet dreams, right? Because the body's just like, oh, I can't absorb all of this. I have to release it, right? Because the epidermis gets full. So when you're doing these sort of things at the beginning, right, you're focusing on making sure you're relaxed there, making sure when you're stretching, you're opening up the hips as well, reducing tension in those areas, then the body's able to reabsorb this into the body, right? Which is bringing you into stage number 2, which is the generation phase. Now, the generation phase is when the body has now started the reabsorption process, right? So you have a lot more energy. Everyone will tell you after the first 30 days, you have a lot more energy, and your body's actually getting used to that energy. It's starting to balance out. Your hormones start to balance out, especially testosterone and dopamine. When you reach that balance, right, this is what people call the flat line. It's not a flat line. It's just that your body now is kind of used to where it should be. Like there's a baseline level of energy. It shouldn't be always going through these high spikes and then these lows, right? And in the first 30 days, you're going up, 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 up. And it kind of levels out, right? It's kind of like a slow increase, right? So again, make sure you don't think, oh, I'm in the flat line and I need to be doing all of these things. It's more about at that stage adding more to your routines, right? So now you have this base level of energy, start looking at what other things now can I be doing, right? Where can I start using this energy? Where is it that I can maybe start doing something more creative? This will also be very good with regards to making sure that you are not falling to the urges as well, right? Finding a way to be more creative, right? In the degeneration phase, it's basically power of will. Do you know what I mean? That's it. It's just, yeah, do whatever it takes, right? Even if it is, for example, there's a game that you play or something else to distract you in your first 30 days, depending on how depleted you are, right? And this is why you have to really focus on yourself, right? Just do whatever it takes to get to the first 30 days. After the regeneration comes, you're going to have more energy, and then that energy will give you the space that you need to be able to focus on doing other things, because you're transmuting this energy. It's not just an urge at this point in time, it's actually a lot more energy to deal with. So starting something more creative, starting a new project, do you know what I mean? Making changes to like habits and routines, because the first 30 days you're looking at, oh, okay, I've got more energy here, I've got more time here. For example, as I'm not always fapping and doing all of this stuff, you start to integrate new things, right, into your routine so that you are able to start generating this energy. And the generation phase lasts about up until like day 90, right? That's when your body's really going to be getting used to all of this energy, right? So during this time as well, things like cold exposure is really good, right? So whether that's cold showers, ice plunges, things like that. Also grounding, right? Add that into your routine as well. And again, don't stop the things that you was doing in the degeneration phase, by the way. It's like it's adding more, right? And then grounding. Grounding, when I'm talking about grounding, I'm talking about getting your foot on grass or earth, right? Like that's so important because you are a battery, right? So when you have this energy in you, it's important that you're grounding this energy, right? And it's starting to flow, because every day after you've started the generation process, right, every day you're going to be getting that little bit more energy, right? Because you're going to be reabsorbing more of this fuel into your body. And at this stage, right, it's more likely going to be going back into making more. Do you know what I mean? So that you're starting to really start to generate that energy. Foodstuffs are going to be able to start focusing more on like your skin, your eyes, other things like that. But again, you're not at that place where you're full yet. Think of your battery at this point to be at going from the 30% mark, right, up until like the 90% mark. And then the last stage, or stage number 3, right, is the regeneration phase. This happens anywhere between, I would say around day 90, right, you're looking at, but realistically, you're looking at like maybe like day 100, right? Because this is when it takes the spermogenesis process has been completed from the day you started, meaning that everything that you're creating now, all of the semen that you're creating now, right, is a part of the new process, right? So you've got a better quality blood, which is going to be making better quality semen and sperm, right? So your body is starting the regeneration process. It's important though not to at this stage be like, all right, cool, let me just release, right? Because this is just the start of the regeneration process, right? This is when the body will be like at that stage where it no longer has to be pulling nutrients from your organs to create the sperm, right? So the body will then focus on truly healing whatever issues, right, that are going on in the body. That's where all of these nutrients will start being put towards creating a healthy system, right? This is the stage where you're focusing on what's my purpose? Where do I start putting this energy? Because if you sit with this energy at this stage, right, it's like having your phone at 100% and keeping it charged. The battery is just going to pop at that moment in time, right? So what you're looking at is making sure you're transmuting this energy into higher purposes, because you don't want to start looking at like the corn and things like that at this stage. You want to make sure that you're focusing on whatever your mission is, right? Whatever your higher goal is, right? And if you're already following your mission, because that could be it, you could know like you're creative, you are a business person, you know, you're a family man, whatever it is, right? You're also then looking at things like towards your spiritual growth. Things like meditation is going to be really important at these stages. You might be able to get away with like short meditations, like 3-4 minutes in the beginning stages, but after like 90 days, 100 days, right, you're really gonna need to meditate and start channeling this energy, right, into your higher centers, because otherwise it's just, you're just gonna want, like the urges are gonna be crazy, right? You're gonna be suffering. It's not that you can't do it, it's just gonna be suffering at that moment in time. So you start focusing on higher level things, right? You'll really start to experience the spiritual awakening at this moment in time, because there'll just be so much energy, right? It'll be very hard for you not to focus on higher level things without relapsing, right? So things that I would suggest, and I would even say from the generation process, to be honest, is you want to be like reading a lot of good quality books, right? Now, this doesn't have to be always books on personal development. I think that's a bit boring. Mix it up, right? With good quality storybooks, right? Paulo Coelho, great writer, have books, whether it's spiritual books, if whatever spirituality or spiritual system that you follow, like start looking into these things, start focusing on deep meditations, the microcosmic orbit, other things like that, right? Because it's important that at that moment you are really focusing on doubling down on that as well. And I did miss, actually, in this video, I was thinking about it, breath work is key throughout the entire process, right? Deep belly breathing is something that you need to be doing in every stage as well. So I hope this has been helpful.